Yeah. Yeah. You sit there crying like a baby, all because you wanna be lazy. Fight back hard when someone tells you your abstractions won't save you. But that spirit's gone when we're in the bedroom, asking AI, how do I big coom? Listen here, you programming boy child, under shit your code gets filed. How hard is it to wrangle JS? Be a man and code with no less. You don't need those silly abstractions. React won't save you from performance infractions. Did you really think you could keep me while clutching the rust from memory safety? Like a child with his blanket, your manhood, you sank it. No surprise to me though, code like a real man, bro. Stop hiding behind your needless complexity, inflating your code just like you try with me to make believe you were big, but baby sized I see. Think your big brain not using C, but Rust won't get you laid, not with me. Try to get me back with the React website, waited for the load all night. Just like that one time you couldn't perform. Real men hype my media, you little worm. Just get to it, use CSS. But I bet money and take a wild guess. It's too scary for your childish brain, so you'd rather anguish and pain. With build tools and compile times, committing code war crimes. There's no way you're for real, just like your AI. But keep talking to it, maybe it'll love you when you die. There's no saving you from your own disgrace, while quality your code does displace. Grow a pair and stop crying. Your lazy shortcuts align. Your code runs so hot it's frying. So many security holes, we're crying. You ain't even trying, and nobody's buying. Your laggy glitch product, go home, shit your pants. It's all that you got, get used to your hands. Lose your ticket, yeah, you're riding that train. Templates and bindings, frying your brain. Pre-X your lightweight, stripped down little toy, but it's crashing your dreams, oh boy, oh boy. Hey, you're stuck in the grind, out of time. Can't ban cards and your code's a crime. TDD's your preacher, but it's all on board. I'm kicking down the stage, leaving you on the floor. C++ in your hands, pointers running wild. Memory leaks stacking up your denials, child. Kanban's your savior, moving tasks so slow. But your backlog's a beast, and it's stealing the show. Hey, you're stuck in the grind, out of time. Can't ban cards and your code's a crime. TDD's your preacher, but it's all on board. I'm kicking down the stage, leaving you on the floor. Driven like you're writing red to green, failing every step, it's the saddest scene. Booze reactivity's got you tied in knots. I'm rocking this riff while your builds just rot. Oh, you're debugging in the dark, no light. C++ nightmares keep you up all night. I'm the 90s queen, you're a techie lost soul. Crank the amp, watch me steal this show. Hey, you're stuck in the grind, out of time.
What's up, everyone? All right. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. What's up, Johnny? Good to see you. Jacqueline, first time chatter on Twitch. How you doing, Jacqueline? Jacqueline Bisson, doing well. How are you? Thanks for popping in here. I appreciate it. If you're watching on X or Rumble or LinkedIn or YouTube. I appreciate it. Let's get to the news, shall we? I have the typical stuff lined up for today. What's up, Laughly on Twitch? Good to see you. Got my coffee. I'm ready to go. Hopefully everybody's ready to go. I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I appreciate you popping in and watching me cover the news for the day. Good coffee, good coffee. Okay. What's up, D on X? Good to see you. Yeah, good stuff. Jacqueline, sure, you can DM me. I do not have any finances with which to pay you for your work. So if you want to DM me, I'll let you know. Right now, I'm not particularly looking for anything, but my DMs are open. So thanks, Jacqueline. Appreciate it. Okay, I think I've got everything lined up. I've got the articles for today. I've got the typical stuff, that, well, the typical stuff. The typical stuff. Hang on a sec. I'm going to adjust there we go. Laughing Panda on Twitch. How you doing, man? My DRs are open. Yeah. So today will be no exception. Today will be the same amount of articles that we're so frustrated of hearing over and over again. And I've tried to mix in a couple of funny ones, including, can AI identify wild oysters? Down to misconfigured S3 buckets, which is par for the course on a daily basis. And the UK still, it's still getting hit. So I've got a few lined up. So let's get started with the first article, shall we? There we go. What's up, Frozen on Twitch? All right. Coinbase users keep losing tens of millions to scammers while exchange remains silent. Yes, you're reading this article correctly. If you are a crypto owner using Coinbase, bro, it's hard times for you right now. Clients of a major crypto exchange, Coinbase, are still reportedly losing tens of millions of USD worth of crypto assets per week to social engineering scams, with total losses already in the 9-figure zone. This time, popular blockchain investigator Zach XBT, who cooperates with another investigator, Tanuki42, claims that another $45 million plus was stolen from Coinbase users via social engineering scams in just the last week. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm in the wrong business, because if that's all it takes to get 45 mil into your bank account, what am I doing coding over here? And even that's not getting me very far, He also shared 10 theft addresses, 8 of which are Bitcoin addresses. Over the past few months, I have reported on 9 figures stolen from Coinbase users via similar social engineering scams. Interestingly, no other major exchange has the same problem. Zach XBT noted in a post on his Telegram channel. Although the investigators started raising the alarm about the Coinbase problem back in February this year, the company still hasn't responded to these claims. We've contacted Coinbase for comment and will update the article once they respond, which they haven't. This is the up-to-date article. As reported by Cybernews, investigators previously claimed claimed that Coinbase users are losing more than $300 million to social engineering scams per year, with at least $65 million stolen in December 2024 and January 2025 alone. Alleged losses in March surpassed $40 million. Now, I could not find exact like proof of this happening aside from the researcher here saying that this is how it's working, but we're essentially going to take it at face value, and I'm going to keep an eye on this. Now, here's kind of like how it supposedly works. Previously, Zach XBT explained that the social engineering scheme begins with a phone call from a spoofed phone number. It's important to remember that Coinbase doesn't call its users. This call is followed by a spoofed email tricking users into transferring funds to a scammer's wallet. The investigators also claimed that, in the vast majority of cases, Coinbase doesn't report theft addresses in popular compliance tools at all, even after the thefts have gone on for weeks, while users struggle to get help from the company. So this in particular, Coinbase is letting their users down. It does not report theft addresses in popular compliance tools at all. Previously, Zach XBT accused the company's leadership of enabling this situation and urged them to take measures to prevent further thefts, such as making phone numbers optional for advanced users with an authenticator app, improving communication, and other actions. He also suggested introducing a beginner and elderly user account type that doesn't allow withdrawals. Now, here's my conspiracy theory. Maybe Coinbase is the one who's behind the thefts. Maybe they're the ones behind it and they don't want it to stop, so they're not doing anything about it. Maybe they're like suckers. Maybe they're just, who knows. Anyway, so I guess just be careful out there, because Coinbase ain't out to help you right now. Now, the next article, let me pull this guy up. Yes. Here we are again. The old familiar. 5.7 million files with resumes exposed after hiring platform forgot the password. Now, you might remember that I think it was either yesterday or the day before, I already covered a hiring platform, or like a resume platform, and they had a similar exposure of resumes. This isn't it. This isn't the same one. It's completely different. So I'll show you the one that I covered the other day. It's this one. Be wanted. Yeah, this might seem familiar. So this isn't it. This is completely new. It's a completely different one. Okay. What's up, Quad on Twitch? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Millions of resumes from a hiring platform were left online, offering scammers, job seekers private data. Cyber News researchers have uncovered a massive data leak which was traced back to HireClick, a recruitment platform for small to mid-sized businesses. The platform helps businesses manage job listings, candidate applications, and the hiring process. The company left over 5.7 million files wide open for anyone on the internet thanks to a misconfiguration of Amazon S3. The leaked files expose sensitive and private information of job seekers, mainly resumes. Bros, this ain't, there's no end. The bar is so low. The bar is so low to getting people's data. It's so low. It's so easy. It's almost incomprehensible. I mean, if you want to get people's data, I don't think in this day and age, it's never been easier. It's just free. It's free and available for the pickings. What's up, Lawler on Twitch? How you doing? D, where can people find this data? Asking for a friend. If you know how to do proper Google search queries, you can find the data. S3 always seems to be the culprit. It seems to be Google Cloud Services, though. Imagine saying there's a $20 coupon and people just giving you their data. Yeah, it's just... Now, what personal data did HireClick leak? Full names, home addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, employment information. Of course, typical stuff that goes in a resume. There's really no shock to this. How does the leak affect HireClick clients? With resumes, email addresses, and phone numbers up for grabs, this leak is a goldmine for scammers. In the wrong hands, the leak data could power everything from identity theft and impersonation to phishing, vishing, which I haven't had time to go look up, and smishing campaigns where attackers pose as hiring managers to exploit desperate job seekers. So I don't know what vishing is. Video phishing, I guess? I don't know. I have to go look that up. I simply have not had time. I'm way behind. But there you go. Vishing. So Quad says vishing is short for voice phishing. It's a type of cyber attack where scammers use phone calls to trick individuals into revealing personal and sensitive information. Thanks, Quad. Okay. Voice phishing. I appreciate it. A lot of ing words, yeah. Yeah. So there you go. Another misconfigured S3 bucket, which it seems to be no end to. Now, this is kind of like a middle of the road article, but I thought it was interesting in case any of you still use Google search. And, well, come on. I think we can all agree Google search has been on a downhill trend in terms of search results. Okay. They've basically poo-pooed all over their own bed. They've doused it with gasoline and lit it on fire, and then they sit in front of it and go, everything is fine. That's Google search for you. Now, regardless of that, I was reading this article and there were a few, well, two specifically, bits of information that were, well, I didn't know. And then I had to take note to do a deep dive into other aspects of what I'm about to show you. So let's read it. Europe plots escape hatch from the end-shitification of search, plus how to make Google less unhelpful. So the European Union has decided enough with search results. I hate them all. Yada, yada, yada. There are efforts to foster truly independent search engines that don't piggyback on existing web giants. One such project is the EU-backed Open Web Search Initiative. Its web presence reflects that this is a research effort. It doesn't have anything to sell you, so there's no sales elevator pitch here, although its fact page is a bit more helpful. So in case you're interested in having a look at that, you can look at that. So the open web search is something that Europe is trying to do here to kind of like escape what's going on with search results becoming really, really bad. Now, another option is to pay for your own search engine. So Kagi is one. I've used that a little bit. It's not bad. It's pretty good. However, if you're too cheap to pay, there are some things you can do to clean up Google search results. One of the most useful is an extra term you can add into the Google search URL. $UDM equals 14. This tells Big G to exclude AI-generated overviews from the results it returns. This simple switch is so helpful that it even has its own domain, udm14.com. And so you could just do like unprotected S3 buckets. And there you go. And of course, there's just a whole list of S3 buckets exposure. I might have to leave this up. I wasn't expecting to search that and find more exposed S3 bucket articles. I actually wasn't expecting that. In any case, here we go. Okay, so that's one. All right, so that's interesting right there. It calls it the disenshitification Konami code after the famous cheat code from Konami's 1987 game Contra. You can add a custom search engine named Google Web Search with a search URL of Q equals percentage sign S, UDM14, TBS equals LI1. In other words, when performing a search, go to Google, pass it the term you're looking for. That's the Q part. Apply two special parameters. The first is the Konami code, which is UDM14. And the second parameter, TBS LI1, tells it to use verbatim matching. So I specifically saved this to see what would happen if we tried this out. So it's going to be google.ca and then search Q. Okay, and then we're going to go well, hang on. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do it exactly like this. Yeah? We'll just save a little bit of time. And then we're going to go TBS, right, equals LI1, I believe. Yes. There you go. There you go. Too commonly, S3 buckets are left unsecured and unencrypted. Now, I don't actually think this did a 1-for-1, but it did narrow down the search results relatively nicely, especially if you compare it to, yeah, the search results are definitely a bit different here, right? So this was quite helpful. So just in case you wanted to use this, there you go. You can, a few tips to using Google search engine a little bit better. And what this has got me into, which I need to do a little bit more research into, is whether or not there are other filters and keyword attributes that Google has that maybe are not commonly known. There is some documentation, quote unquote documentation, that you can read on a variety of different filters. So I'm going to do a little bit of a dive into that at some point when I have the damn time, and see if I can figure out more of these kinds of filters and see if there's any usefulness behind them. Because if there is, then maybe we can create a series of filters that are automatically generated. I think they even talk about this here. Yeah, so you can add it as like a default search engine, like query parameter thing to Firefox right here. For example, they say that there is a way to do this so that all you do is you plug in your search query, and then it adds those filters in automatically on the Google search. So yeah, there you go. Some tips. I thought they were very surprising and useful to me. Maybe they're useful to you. Q equals unprotected. Yeah, unprotected. Actually, that's a good one. Let me. I just want to try that. So let's just say, let's just go unprotected, maybe. Yeah, that's going to give you all kinds of stuff. What if we did exactly what Quad? Yeah. Now, I think this does a 1-to-1, right? So if we take out the TBS 1-to-1, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I don't use Google anymore. I asked ChatGPT. I think a lot of people do. I'm not surprised by that many S3 exposures. Can we use it for Gmail searching? I don't know. That's a good question, Johnny. Go ahead and give it a shot, I guess. Yeah, Lawler, there you go. So you can pre-set up your filters and then plug in your search param. May want to use safe search on that one. It could get sticky otherwise. Yeah, more ways than one. Know what I'm saying? All right, next up. Microsoft to lay off 3% of workforce. I'm sure that you guys have seen this, and it's approximately 7,000 jobs, give or take. It's very short. Okay, that's it. They're laying off 7,000 people, or 3% of their workforce. Now, one of the things that happened, I forgot to include a link to this, so I'm not going to go track it down right now. But there's a person who got laid off, and they put in a whole bunch of effort to get TypeScript to be, I can't remember what it was. It's some crazy amount of performance improvement on TypeScript. They put in a bunch of effort on that, and he got laid off. And it was an insane amount of performance improvement on TypeScript. And that guy got laid off. So here's the problem. It's such a weird state to be in. We have people who are massively talented, super intelligent and talented in programming, and they can do some very, very cool stuff. But instead, they work for other people, making other people's stuff better, instead of making their own stuff and making their own stuff better. If that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense the way I said it, but I think you guys kind of understand what I'm trying to say. And it's an unfortunate place to be when we have programmers who can build incredible tools or take a tool and make it way better than it's ever been, and they can't do that for themselves. They're dependent on someone else who's willing to throw them away at the drop of a hat. This entire concept of work family doesn't exist, except in extremely rare circumstances. I've only ever had one circumstance where I genuinely walked away from that company and have had and will continue to have lifelong friends out of it, two of them in particular. And but it's super rare. Most of the time, that's not really what happens. So it's an unfortunate state because it's a waste of people's intelligence in this industry. Yeah, he was with Microsoft for 18 years. Yeah. There's no proof, Lawler, that they're getting replaced with Copilot, but they might be. I don't know. They might be. Now, in a kind of like a different take on this, IBM did something a little bit different. So it says IBM CEO says AI has replaced hundreds of workers but created new programming and sales jobs. The tech company promises higher total employment as it reinvests resources towards roles like software development. So what the IBM CEO here is doing, this was from a few days ago, they're using AI to replace particular portions of their jobs, but then investing that money into creating more jobs to at the very least keep a consistent level or an increased level of hiring. This is actually a not so bad way to deal with AI replacing jobs. And this is kind of what I argue for. Not kind of, I argue for this a lot. If you're going to use AI, use it for what it's good for and let it stick to its lane. And I think this is a good example of that. So they're using AI agents to replace the work of a couple hundred human resource workers. As a result, it has hired more programmers and salespeople. Now, the resource workers, I think, are just getting laterally moved. I think that's what I remember reading from this one. Let me see. Yada, yada, yada. No, it's not here. It's not here. Okay. Maybe I read it in a different related article. I think they were getting laterally moved or retrained or something like that. Now, even if they are being let go, the number of workers being let go and that kind of like a head count is very low. And the outcome is that you hire more people in the end. You end up hiring more people in the end. This is okay. I'm okay with this. I don't think this is like a terrible way to deal with the use of AI to replace workers. Now, it's still crappy for people who are getting replaced. But if the company is offering the ability to, to retrain or move laterally or whatever, then this is a much better way to deal with this than just letting people go and replacing them with AI, especially when we talk about things like regret in the UK, where a third or a quarter of UK businesses regret their move to AI, where a company like Klarna is hiring back human customer call center workers because AI simply can't replace them. McDonald's regretted their full-on AI thing. I mean, we've covered this a lot, right? So yeah, I thought I'd bring this one up. By the way, Elko, thank you for resubbing. 17 months. That's crazy. You like throwing your money away? Yeah. Thank you, Elko, on Twitch. I really appreciate it. It helps, it definitely helps support what I'm doing here. For sure. I appreciate that, Elko. What's up, Delaney? Data stars taking away from AI and front-end dev influencer jobs. So must be stopped immediately. No, must continue. Must continue. Data star must continue. Cheaper than cable and better for my gray matter. I'm glad. I'll keep doing what I can for your gray matter, Alco. All right. Up next. Now, I've said this before. One of the biggest problems that we have in this industry is the massive use of libraries, frameworks, package managers in particular, anything that's a third-party source that essentially offloads your business decisions to something that you don't understand because you simply npm installed or Composer installed or whatever, and we lose sight of what we're bringing in. We don't check for security issues. We don't check for code quality. We don't even check for licensing agreements. Who has the time to do all this? And I've said it so many times that this is ripe for all kinds of nefarious actions. It opens the door for all kinds of nefarious actions. And the more we continue down this road, the more harms it will cause. And we need to, at the very least, stop doing it just a little bit. Even just a little bit I would be okay with. Can you just check one of the packages that you're bringing in? Can you just audit one? Just do one every once in a while. Just check them and then learn fundamentals, stay up to date on fundamentals so that you have a way to value judge what you're importing and so on and so forth. I've said this ad nauseum. And as it turns out, the Pentagon agrees with me. Pentagon declares war on outdated software buying, opens fire on open source. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Pentagon agrees with me. U.S. Department of Defense is overhauling its outdated software procurement systems and insists it's putting security at the forefront of decision-making processes. Now, here's my question. What the hell has the DoD been doing since now? Before now? That's just what question I have. Katie Arrington, CIO at the DoD, established the department's Software Fast Track initiative via a Monday memo, which is available here, PDF, which promised to reform how software is acquired, tested, and authorized. The Department of Defense cybersecurity and supply chain risk management practices within the department must adapt and keep pace with software development and the increasing complexity and evolution of supply chain risk. So they talk exactly about what I have been talking about and what many of you have also been talking about. It's not just me, and agree with. For example, Ginger Bill has been a very loud proponent of against package managers, and you can see the Odin language heavily opposes this, right? So it's not just me, but I come on here and talk about it every day. And the Pentagon, they realize that there is an issue here. The department currently lacks visibility into the origins and security of software code, which hampers software security assurance. And we have gone over articles in the past where the military has had serious issues with things like battleships crashing, or fighter jets having issues because they didn't work with their third-party contractors well enough in order to determine the kinds of use cases that needed to be dealt with from a third-party perspective. Now, granted, that's not exactly the same as what I'm talking about here, but the principle is what holds true here. The principle is that when you offload your responsibilities to a third party, that third party does not have to be as responsible as you. It does not have to care the same way that you care, especially when you're not checking and holding them to account, which is typically what happens. There's a psychological factor, which is if somebody is willing to do this work for me, then I don't have to think about it. And if you can walk away thinking it's not my problem anymore because I've handed it off, then you feel better about that. A public statement from Arrington went on to say that current software procurement processes are outdated and slow with little to no supply chain visibility. So they don't even know what they have, right? And they talk about their initiative to go back and essentially review all the third-party sources that they've accepted into their software and figure out where it came from, what is the additional details around who built it, licensing issues, security issues, a full-on audit by the Pentagon. So there you have it. The Pentagon agrees with me. I'm a genius. Pentagon, you can hire me anytime. I was ahead of this by a year and some odd months, all right? You can hire me anytime. I'm here. I know I'm Canadian, but we're still Giga Chads over here. For president. Was I wrong in assuming the military wrote all their code from scratch in assembly? Yes, you were wrong. If only that were true. Could you imagine the military writing their code from scratch in assembly? That'd actually be pretty based. Now, next up. You think the UK? Do you think the UK can stop getting hit? No, it can't. I pulled up the wrong article. Hang on. It's this one here. Let me close this one. Yeah, here we go. All right. It can't. It can't stop. Co-op hackers may still be in the system as cyber attack disruption continues. Some critical logistical systems are still offline. That's right. British retail giant Co-op, which we've covered in previous tech news streams, I mean, we're going into week 2 of this, is still experiencing severe disruptions from a cyber attack, with some stores unable to restock selected products thanks to critical logistical systems being kept offline, and fears that the hackers may still have access to the company's network, the record reports. I tried to look this up to get confirmation that anybody has confirmed that the hackers still have access, but I couldn't find confirmation of this. So the only thing that is fueling that fear is the fact that they are still struggling. And this article is from yesterday, so this is pretty recent. We're talking about like 24 hours or less. Co-op has spent the last two... Whoa, what did I do there? There we go. Spent the last 2 weeks fending off attackers by shutting down IT systems, and there has been significant disruption to operations as a result. Co-op CEO confirmed that a limited amount of customer data was accessed by criminals and that the organization is working to fully understand the impact of the attack. And they just go over all the stuff that we've gone over before, including the possibility that they still have hackers in the system. Deliveries from Co-op's large depots were reportedly well below 20% of their normal capacity, outlining the serious disruptions that these attacks can bring. All our stores are open, trading, and we're now making deliveries to all of our stores, flowing in an increased level of fresh, chilled, and frozen products alongside cupboard essentials, a spokesman confirmed to the record. Some of our stores might not have all their usual products available, and we're sorry if this is the case for our members and customers in the local store. We're working around the clock to reduce disruption and are pleased to have resumed delivery of stock to our shelves. The nature of the attack is yet to be revealed, although it comes alongside a similar incident for another retailer, M&S, which I believe preceded Co-op, who suffered an outage here that is scattered spyware. They feel it's the same thing, the scattered spyware ransomware attack. So, it's likely that something's still going on. They're not up to speed. They're still below their normal operating capacity. There's still blips of outages here and there. This could be chalked up to, I mean, the viewers I talk to right now who are watching right now, you guys know what it's like when a system goes down in production. It's basically a fire sale. I mean, you are a firefighter, and there's all kinds of stuff that you do, especially with a large amount of users, to try and get something up as quickly as possible. And you cut some corners, you take some shortcuts because you're hoping that you put a Band-Aid on it that buys you enough time to get to the actual solution, right? So this might not be hackers still, in the system. It could just be that they're trying to play catch up with all the things they're trying to bring back online. Who knows? But regardless, one way or the other, the UK can't catch a break. Not happening. Yeah, so Laughley, they I guess it's part of this article too. They put the stock back. Yeah. Kind of thought once a company's hacked, they need to burn all their computers in a dumpster. Oh boy. That would actually be kind of fun. If that was the required procedure. You had to burn all the computers in a dumpster. You had to take them out back. That would be fun. I'd be okay with that. All right. On a more serious note, it's more serious. Let me pull this one up. Make sure I've got the right here. Okay. Here we go. Now, CISA is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency in the US. Okay, so essentially you can imagine exactly what they do. It's in the title, right? It doesn't take much to figure out what they do. This is from a few days ago. Like I said, I'm playing catch up because, dear Lord, am I behind on news. CISA warns of hackers targeting critical oil infrastructure. Yeah, that's right. Oil infrastructure. CISA warned critical infrastructure organizations of unsophisticated threat actors actively targeting the U.S. oil and natural gas sectors. While these attacks use very basic tactics to compromise their targets, industrial control systems, and operational technology equipment, CISA also cautioned that they could still lead to significant impact, including physical damage and disruptions. CISA is increasingly aware of unsophisticated cyber actors targeting ICS SCADA systems with U.S. critical infrastructure sectors, oil and natural gas, specifically in energy and transportation systems. Although these activities often include basic and elementary intrusion techniques, the presence of poor cyber hygiene and exposed assets can escalate these threats, leading to significant consequences such as defacement, config changes like unsecured S3 buckets, operational disruptions, and in severe cases, physical damage. So you're getting hit in two different ways here. One, these are unsophisticated. I mean, another way to put it is dumb caveman can hack into machines. And then on top of that, the people running the machines don't have basic security hygiene. So it's like, this is literally, I had to think about this. This is literally the example that I came up with. Let me just go back to this, okay? This right here, I came up with an example of what's going on. What's going on is that you have people who are homeless walking up to people who are rich, because the people who are rich are walking around in homeless encampments, shouting out how much money they have in their bank account. And the homeless person walks up to the rich person and does that thing where they like poke out their finger out of their pocket to make it look like they have a boom boom stick. And they're like, I have a boom boom stick, give me your money. And the rich person goes, okay. That's it. That's what's happening here. That's essentially the equivalent here. So there you go. Okay, up next. A little bit of a lighter note. Just for fun. Let me just pull up the correct version of this. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Just for fun, I thought this one was kind of interesting. Is AI currently capable of identifying wild oysters? A comparison of human annotators against the AI model Odyssey. A recent alternative for identifying oysters, the Odyssey model, was developed to use deep learning techniques to identify live oysters using video or images taken in the field of oyster reefs to assess abundance. The validity of this model in identifying live oysters on a reef was compared to expert and non-expert annotators. In addition, we identified potential sources of prediction error. Although the model can make inferences significantly faster than expert and non-expert annotators, the model overpredicted the number of live oysters, achieving lower accuracy, 63%, in identifying live oysters compared to experts, 74%, and non-experts, 75%, alike. Image quality was an important factor in determining the accuracy of the model and the annotators. Better quality images improved human accuracy and worsened model accuracy. Yeah, that's right. No, you read that right. Better quality images improved human accuracy, but worsened model accuracy. Yeah, detecting live oysters. The better the image quality, the worse the AI can detect them. Although Odyssey was not sufficiently accurate, we anticipate the future training or higher quality images utilizing additional live imagery, incorporating additional stuff will make it better. This is the one more model, bro. I promise, bro. It will get better, bro. Armageddon is around the corner, bro. I'm a Jehovah's Witness, bro. Join me before you die in Armageddon, bro. So I just thought it was just funny. It's just a stupid, like, funny thing. And then one more here. Let me pull this one up here. Okay, yeah. This guy. Now, yesterday, if you remember, we went over a study about how students are using AI in order to get through schooling. And I believe it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before. And we talked about whether generative AI has actual positive or negative outcomes in terms of that. And we looked at the study because there was some moron on X who was making some bold claims that teachers are in shambles and they're not going to be needed anymore, some stupid thing like that, which is entirely not true. So I found this study, which had a few tidbits that kind of were mostly in line with the previous study that we went over, but it had some extra things in them. So for example, depending on who you are and what personality traits you have in the big 5 personality traits, you will have a better or worse outcome in terms of what you get out of generative AI as a student. Now, if you're a non-native English speaker, you will get a little bit more because, of course, AI can kind of help translate some ideas and concepts. And if you're Asian, Asian students report higher generative AI usage, perceive greater academic benefits, perceive. So this is self-reported perception, right? It's not actual quantifiable metrics, and express a stronger preference for it. Similarly, Black students report a more positive impact of generative AI on their academic performance. And personality traits also have an impact, right? So depending on who you are, you're going to see some benefits on using AI as part of your educational value. Now, if you just look at the abstract, right, and you don't read this study because you're too lazy, or because you rely on someone like me who's not lazy, who you pay $0 to, by the way, to do this crap, okay? You rely on someone like me, high school dropout over here, reading scientific papers in order to get down to the except for Elko. Elko pays. Elko carries this whole stream for all of you. That's right, Elko. Elko on Twitch single-handedly pays for every video I do. It's the only amount of money I make. Thanks, Elko. Thank you. Your patronage is appreciated. Thanks. Yeah, Lawler's like questioning whether it's worth it or not. Yeah, what are you encouraging, Elko? Okay, so there's a let me see if I can find it. Learning. Maybe it was down at the end here. I believe it was down at the end. Near the, let's go learning. Yes. Okay. Oh no, is there a gift sub? Hang on before I continue. Is there a gifted sub? Yeah, because I was busy. I was looking off screen. Oh, Elko. Elko, thanks for the 5. I appreciate it. Elko on Twitch is single-handedly carrying everyone. You know what? Let me just call it. There are people on YouTube. There are people on X. There's a few people on Rumble, I think, and LinkedIn. And Elko on Twitch is single-handedly paying for all of you, okay? You guys are lazy bums. You're cheap, lazy bums. You're cheap. I appreciate it, Elko. That's awesome. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, I do. I greatly appreciate that, Elko. That's very kind of you. I subbed today for 3 months. Thank you, Johnny. I didn't see the sub. I haven't seen your sub, Johnny. I don't. It's not listing up, like it's not listing it out for me. So I apologize for that. But if you did sub and I've missed it, I appreciate that as well, Johnny. Ultimately, I'm just kidding about the money. Okay, I'm just joking. I know a lot of you don't even have a job right now, or are having a hard time or whatever. So, but if you give it to me, I'll take it. You know, I'll appreciate it. You stopped by YouTube just to leave a like. See, Elko is you know what? Elko, do you even have VIP? You do now. Elko gets VIP, all right? I know it's unjust. I just find it fine. Me too, Elko. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for all the support, everyone. And just to be really clear, the support from, I do this not because people pay me, right? I do it because it means something to me. So, and then Lawler. So Lawler on Twitch is now competing with Elko for financial. You know, at this point, I'm willing to sell my soul for whoever gifts the most subs. You guys can steer the way that the tech news is going. Thank you for another 5 subs, Lawler. I really do appreciate it. Here, I'll tell you what. At the end of the stream, when I'm done the news articles, I'll make sure to give some special, re-give special shout outs and talk a little bit about the support, because I want to make sure that I express my appreciation thoroughly, right? I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Lawler, and thank you, Elko, and thank you everybody who's watching now or in the future. It's yeah. I appreciate it a lot. And Johnny too. Okay, I'm going to focus on the news. Let's get through the articles and then I'll come back to you guys. And thank you again. I do appreciate it. I'll talk more about it at the end. All right. Okay, so if you are unwilling to use your brain and read the entire study in order to figure out how they did their how they executed the study and who did what and what the different outcomes were, etc. And you just listen to people who go on X and spout stupid, nonsensical stuff, then you wouldn't realize that there's a nuance here. And here is the nuance. First of all, the academic performance is a self-perceived, so it's self-reported. That means that the teachers did not actually report on whether students did better or not in terms of raw numbers, A's, B's, C's, D's, or percentages of passing grades versus failing grades. The students just self-reported whether they felt like they got an academic performance boost out of generative AI as part of their academic journey. On top of that, learning was barely impacted, and in some cases negatively impacted, especially by highly intellectual students. So the more that you had the intellectual or just raw, logical, smart power and the big five personality traits, the less you got out of learning from generative AI, and the more you preferred traditional sources versus AI. So if you're really actually smart, you'll avoid AI. That's the key takeaway. Okay, don't use AI. It's meaningless in your academic studies. Okay, it means absolutely nothing. But you don't get that kind of nuance. You don't get that kind of understanding unless you read the study like I have. And I've now done it for 10 subs on Twitch, and enough. And Nelko, thank you for the 500 bits. I appreciate it. So there you go. So I've read the study for you. That was worth it. If every study cost 10 subs and 500 bits, I would read every study in full. Okay, that's the new price point. Yeah, the hype train's at level 4. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Battle? On Twitch, good to see you. Okay. Why is your LLM on the spectrum? Does it have a big 5 personality trait? It might. Now, I'm going to do one more. Well, let me see. There's 2. Let me see if I can get to both of them. Okay. All right. So look, here's what I'm going to do. I have 2 articles, and they are banger articles. They're not exactly news. They're more like opinion pieces about stuff we've been talking about here. They would fit more into like the enlightened programming streams where we talk about like the state of the industry, things like that. Since you guys are being so generous today, which again, I greatly appreciate, I can save them and do a separate enlightened programming stream, or I can take a bit of extra time in this news stream and kind of switch gears and go over them. They're a bit longer, but they're really good articles. And just take a bit of extra time and go over them. And then call it a stream. So you guys can decide. All right. Thank you, Lawler, for 300 bits. Python on a MacBook. You need some of the good stuff? What does it even mean, Pierre? I don't even know what you need your fix? What are you talking about? You need your fix? Some of like the ranting and complaining and all that? The negative, like the black pilling, the complaining and everything? We can do it. It's just that it kind of deviates a bit from the news streams, right? It's more of like enlightened programming ones. I was hoping I would have enough time to cover them within an hour, but it's not looking that way. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's kind of a little bit of a vibe shift from what we're doing. Let me get them up here. Let's do it since I have everyone here and you guys are being awesome. Okay. Okay, so I'll do these two articles. We'll take some extra time, however long it takes to get through them. There's some good stuff in here. We'll maybe we'll rant a bit, whatever. I'll try and not go over too much. It's almost 1 a.m. I'm sorry, Lawler. You know you can go to sleep at any time you want. No one's holding you hostage here, buddy. You've already paid your subs. You can keep Spiro spiraling, ranting into the depths of despair gets me through the day. Yeah. Yeah, you guys need a rant? All right. Okay. Hang on. If you want to rant, I can prep, but I got to prep. I got to mentally prep for rant. Refund, yeah. Okay. All right, we're doing it. You all asked for it. Hold on to your butts. Yeah. Um, yeah. Let's do it. It's going to be a little bit ranty, but also sticking to the topic of the article. Okay. Find your Rust code. The Zuckerberg imitation. I still go back. The Zuckerberg imitation? Yeah, that was great. That was great. I'm not going to repeat it. It should be like a very sparingly used. You know, when you use a joke too much, it kind of like it doesn't become as funny anymore. So I'm saving it for if you want to know the Zuckerberg imitation, ask Purecoin. He'll hook you up. It was pretty funny, I have to admit. All right. Let's do it. I'll start off with a bit of a rant, okay? And then what I'll do is this leads into the articles because both articles kind of daisy chain into each other. So let me get my rant ideas while I'm getting the rant thoughts in my head. Purecoin, if you have a link, I think somebody clipped it. Drop it in chat. You're welcome to drop it in chat. Spam it if you want, just to make sure everybody has it. If you guys are on, anybody's watching on X or LinkedIn or whatever, you guys are not going to get the chat link. So too bad. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. Thanks, Purecoin. When I first started streaming, one of the first things I brought up was how React was a cancer to the entire industry. And the reason why it's a cancer to the entire industry is because it's the perfect example of an easy button. When somebody offers you an easy button, what they're doing is they're playing to a psychological aspect of your ego. The psychological aspect is, I don't want to think, I don't want to put in hard work, I don't want to do something. This is why cults operate the way that they do. They allow you to hand off your thinking abilities to a cult leader who gives you a checklist of things to do. And as long as you follow the checklist, like, give me your money on a monthly basis, give me all your support, don't talk to anybody outside this cult, etc., 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 check off all these things, then you are guaranteed that God will love you because I, as the cult leader, am a divinely sent messenger from God himself. So you have a direct line and God is telling you to do these things. And when you look at religion as a whole, it's this big blob of ideas, and how the heck is your brain going to wrap your head around all that? And so there's an easy button. The easy button is the cult. That's what the cult gives you. It's a comfort blanket of checklists, and all you have to do is follow it. React is no different. Many things in the tech industry are no different. Vue, Svelte, Solid, you name it. NPM, Composer, Python, all of these things are all easy buttons. Some of them are more nefarious than others. Some of them do this more impactfully than others. AI is also a cancer to society in that it has packaged all the previous cancerous cult-like systems that we've created in the tech industry over the past 10 years and funded with VC funding and patted ourselves on the back with morons who want to ship fast, break it fast, get that money, get that exit, all of that. It's just all packaged up into a neat little bow called AI. AI is the speedrun of all those stupid, moronic, cancerous decisions all put together so that you can do even less of the thinking that you were already asked to not do in the first place. If you think about it, it's almost like AI is the cult of cults. It's a multi-level marketing scheme where AI is the top of all cults and all subsequent cults all flow upwards to AI. AI is a cancer to society, especially when it is used wrong. If React could be used in its correct place, if AI could be used in its correct place, and you can make this argument for any third-party system that you import into your thinking process, then it would probably be okay. But unfortunately, like other cults, they like to just extend their little tendrils to everything that they can possibly touch, which is now why you have React on the server with React server components. It's why you have React Native. It's why you have TypeScript, which is just a convoluted roundabout way to get from JavaScript right back to JavaScript with the comfort blanket that at least at the point of compilation, you get type safety. All this stuff is absolute insanity, but it's all cult-like mentality that just says, you don't have to think, we've done the thinking for you, just install this thing, follow this checklist, and the tech gods will bless you in your life. You will be protected. That's exactly what this is. What we're missing is friction. And what this causes is a huge amount of bloat. And both of these have negatives and positives. Friction has a negative in that it's friction. Who likes friction? It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable when you have to take on a big idea and try and figure it out for yourself. It's uncomfortable when you have to try and struggle through a problem. But the positive is that when you do, you learn something. You exercise your brain. And we've covered studies, at least 5 of them, maybe more, where the lack of exercise of particular methods or a specific what would you call them, steps to accomplish something, they cause atrophy in your skills and in your brain. Friction is the solution to that atrophy. And it's good for you. You want to have some level of friction. You don't want to have too much. You don't want to have too little. But when you start going into the direction of let's remove as much friction as possible, you become an idiot. And we can see this playing out with people who are saying that they have been vibe coding for the last few months and then they ran out of tokens and they stopped vibe coding for some reason and they feel like they can't code anymore. This is a common thing I see almost every week, at least once a week on some social media platform. This thing atrophied my brain. Bloat comes from the AI speedrun of all these stupid moronic ideas that were packaged up. And the speedrun creates more code because when you're not thinking and you just type in a prompt and you ask the AI system to generate code for you and everybody does this in mass, then you're going to necessarily have more lines of code. What's the problem with that? It creates more vectors for problems. So we're actually doing ourselves in 2 different ways. 1, everybody wants to make themselves more stupid. And 2, it means that when a problem arises, it's going to be so difficult to figure out where the problem is because there's so much code generated by AI at massive amounts, massive rates than humans themselves could perform. And everyone's going to be too stupid to figure it out anyways. And this leads into the first article. The most valuable commodity in the world is friction. Hang on, folks. Now, The author of this article is talking about friction not in terms of regulations or transaction costs, but the effort required to move through systems and how that effort is being redistributed in today's economy. We were taught that effort matters, that working hard, learning well, and building value would be rewarded. I sound a little like old man yelling at cloud, but I promise I have a point. We have a world where friction gets automated out of experiences, aestheticized in curated lifestyles, and dumped onto underfunded infrastructure and overworked labor. The effort doesn't disappear, it just moves. Digital world has almost no friction. That's the claim here. The physical world is full of it, and in certain curated spaces like the West Village or your AI companion, friction has been turned into something you can pay to remove. And the author literally created a chart as kind of like what the different types of friction looks like. So you have physical friction, which is the yellow chart going up. You have digital friction, which is the purple chart going down, and then you have the curated world, which is friction optimal, which is in between. In the digital world, you have AI. The average American has fewer than 3 friends. And I would like it to be 15. So here we go. Here's the Mark Zuckerberg impression. Okay, this is literally what Mark Zuckerberg said. The average American has fewer than 3 friends, fewer than 3 people they would consider friends, and the average person has demand for meaningfully more. I think it's something like 15 friends or something. The implication is that Meta will close that friendship gap with AI companions. Zuckerberg clarified they won't replace relationships, but supplement them. So there's a source of friction that's removed, which is how the hell do you make friends and talk to them and keep them around for a reasonable amount of time, right? Young people are spending much more time alone than in the past. Hours spent alone per day. Hours spent alone per day UK. So you have US, UK, and Europe. And the trend is insane between 2010 and 2023. Now, you have Cluely. And so here again, you're removing a source of friction. Cluely apparently is going to make everything AI driven so that you have a nice, easy way to access AI so you can get through life with AI telling you what to do and what to say and everything around you, explaining everything around you, and so on. Everything accelerates until you forget what it means to try. Apps load faster, papers write themselves, job interviews are browser tricks, 60-hour raves just in your VR goggles, speech patterns converge, aesthetics flatten, even identity becomes an efficiency layer. New York Times Magazine has an excellent article on the prevalence of AI in colleges. One student said, college now feels like, how well can I use ChatGPT? Others describe writing essays as a coordination problem. Get the prompt, feed it to the bot, skim the output, add some filler, hit submit, no thinking required, just interface management. Students can still read books, they argue. They're just choosing not to. Students today are far more concerned about their job prospects than they were in the past. Every year, they tell Howley that despite enjoying what they learned in Lit Hum, they plan to instead get a degree in something more useful for their career. Then you have socialization collapse. Listen, we already have plummeting birth rates. And now what we're trying to do is get people to use AI to talk to each other? Bro. We need you out there talking to girls. Okay? We need you out there making babies. So, this is what one student wrote. I spend so much time on TikTok, she said, hours and hours until my eyes start hurting, which makes it hard to plan and do my schoolwork. With ChatGPT, I can write an essay in 2 hours that normally takes 12. This is crazy to me. However, this is exactly what's happening in the tech industry as well. We have programmers, we have we have people who are extremely popular, we have influencers who are saying this kind of crap, who are promoting this kind of crap, and what they're doing is they're saying, hey, do you want to make more time for the stuff you care about? Well, don't worry, we have a cult-like checklist for you to follow. Just join our cult and use our thing, and you're going to be okay. Because this thing saves you time, and it's AI. Do you think American loneliness is going to get better? No, of course not, because when you have AI to talk to, right? Now, in the physical world, friction still exists. As the Wall Street Journal reported, when the radar and radio systems failed simultaneously, air traffic controllers were reduced to telling pilots, "We don't have a radar, so I don't know where you are." The failure traced back to a single multiplexer box that was scheduled for replacement hours before the outage, but never installed. This is in Newark. I have this article, and let me tell you why this happened. First of all, the air traffic control operations, like the inside of the United States, is suffering from a lack of people who are willing to be air traffic controllers in the first place. They can't get enough people to do it, first of all. Second of all, when stuff like this happens, air traffic controllers get frustrated, they have to walk off the job, or they just stop coming back and they quit because they can't handle the stress. Imagine the stress of having tens or hundreds of people's lives in your hands when you're operating on a system that's outdated or not working correctly. And third, I have the article, but since we're kind of off the news thing, I'll go over it again in one of the news episodes, so don't worry about it. But essentially in Newark, do you know what happened? Do you know why this thing went down? Because it's physical friction. It went down because a copper wire got fried. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's called physical friction, right? And so the author continues to talk about how physical friction has a lot of things that you can't account for some of the time, and other parts of the time you can't even replace with automation. It's required, etc. And you can learn a lot from having friction in the physical world, where the argument would be that in some cases it's critical, it's necessary to have it there, right? And so you can learn something from that in the digital world as well, because ultimately, what is the digital world if not an extension of physical friction? The physical friction being the friction of using your brain. The curated real world is where you pay money to remove friction for you. So you can live an optimized lifestyle. You can live an entire life in West Village, which is a New York City neighborhood. You can live your entire life within a 5-block radius. Pilates, 3-drinker dinners, charm bars, espresso martinis, run clubs, spritzes, connection. It's great. So if you have the money, then essentially what you can do is you can just curate your life so that all kinds of friction is removed for you, and you can just live the nice, comfy lifestyle, right? The consequences of removing friction like this, and then they talk about like GDP and economic factors and all of that stuff. The consequences of removing friction are many. But in the scope of the tech industry, it comes down to what we're supposed to be doing as part of our responsibilities as programmers. And it's doubly tough It's tough in two ways because one, I think a lot of programmers understand that their responsibility is to use the friction of their brain to solve problems in a logical way, using logical capabilities, extracting ideas, reconverging them into ideas that you can execute in code that follows a logical pattern, etc., etc. These are all things we know. We know this to be true, but that's not what we're incentivized to do. So on the one hand, we don't want to be putting all our time and effort into every little thing. That gets frustrating real fast. And then on the other hand, we have people who pay the paychecks and hire you or fire you in some cases. You have colleagues, you have influencers who all tell you, no, 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 that's way too much effort. Don't do that. Don't use your brain. That's crazy. Use this other thing instead and extract your thinking abilities to a third party. So it's a particularly tough situation when you know what you have to do, but every incentive outside of yourself is to not do that thing. And the more that we do that, the more we're leading ourselves, especially with AI, into a very dangerous situation where we're not going to have anybody who knows how to do anything anymore. Everyone's going to be drooling from their mouths as they prompt away their code, and everybody's going to be hacking everyone. All your information is going to be public anyways. You're going to be putting in your Visa cards to AI systems anyways. So, at some point, it's like, what's the point of even trying anymore? That's where this is leading. What's the point of even trying anymore? Just take everything in your life and hand it off to a third-party system. You're good to go. Now, the next article. Why bloat is still software's biggest vulnerability. A 2024 plea for lean software. Some years ago, this is authored by Bert Hubert, okay, who's a cybersecurity guy. Some years ago, I did a talk at a local university on cybersecurity titled, Cyber and Information Security, Have We All Gone Mad? It's still worth reading today since we have gone quite mad collectively. The way we build and ship software these days is mostly ridiculous, leading to apps using millions of lines of code to open a garage door and other simple programs, importing 1,600 external code libraries, dependencies of unknown provenance. Software security is dire, which is a function both of the quality of the code and the sheer amount of it. Many of us programmers know the current situation is untenable. Many programmers and their management, sadly, haven't ever experienced anything else, and for the rest of us, we rarely get the time to do a better job. What a good summary, what a good opener of the state of the industry. Let me briefly go over the terrible state of software security and then spend some time on why it is so bad. I also mentioned some regulatory and legislative things going on that we might use to make software quality a priority again. Finally, I talk about an actual useful piece of software I wrote as a proof of concept that one can still make minimal and simple yet modern software. So, again, another old man, 48, yelling at clouds. At the ripe old age of 41, I can say I do not look forward to being 48. Okay, death gets that much closer. At 48, death kind of stops having coffee with you and then starts having some hard liquor, right? The state of software security is dire. If we only look at the past year, if you ran industry standard software like Ivanti, MoveIt, Outlook, Confluence, Barracuda Email Security Gateway, Citrix NetScaler ADC, and NetScaler Gateway, chances are you got hacked. Even companies with near infinite resources like Apple and Google made trivial, worst practice security mistakes that put their customers in danger, yet we continue to rely on these products. These pieces of software are considered so dangerous that we tell everyone not to run it themselves. Instead, you're supposed to leave that to an X as a service provider, or perhaps just to the cloud. Compare this to a hypothetical situation where cars are so likely to catch fire that the advice is not to drive a car yourself, but to leave that to professionals who are always accompanied by professional firefighters. Imagine that writing your own front-end code in vanilla JavaScript, HTML, and CSS to handle a simple website is so dangerous, so wrought with issues that instead of doing that, leave it to professionals who have already built a whole bunch of packages for you, third-party packages, and just let them do the work for you. Just npm install away, bro. The assumption is that then the cloud is somehow able to make insecure software trustworthy. Yet in the past, we've learned that Microsoft's email platform was thoroughly hacked, including classified government email, twice. There's also well-founded worries about the security of Azure Cloud and Google Cloud Services, and Amazon has 3 buckets apparently. Meanwhile, industry darling Okta, which provides cloud-based software that enables users to log into various applications, got comprehensively owned. This was before the Daily Tech News, so I didn't cover this. This was their second breach within 2 years. Also, there was a suspicious spat of Okta users subsequently getting hacked. Clearly, we need better software. The European Union has launched 3 pieces of legislation: NIS2, Cyber Resilience Act, and Product Liability Directive. So we'll see how this plays out. Why is it so bad? Making more secure software takes time and is a lot of work, and the current security incidents don't appear to be impacting the bottom line or stock prices. You can speed up time to market by cutting corners. So from an economic standpoint, what we see is entirely predictable. Legislation could be important in changing this. The security of software depends on 2 factors, and this is where AI in particular does large harm: the density of security issues in the source code and the sheer amount of code accessible by hackers. As the US defense community loved to point out in the 80s, quantity has a quality all of its own. The reverse applies to software. The more of it you have, the more risks you run. As a case in point, Apple iPhone users got repeatedly hacked over many years because of the huge attack surface exposed by iMessage. It is possible to send an unsolicited iMessage to an Apple user. The phone will then immediately process that message so it can preview it. The problem is that Apple, in its wisdom, decided that such unsolicited messages needed to support a vast array of image formats, accidentally including PDFs with weird embedded compressed fonts, using an ancient format that effectively included a programming language. So someone could send an unsolicited message to your iPhone that could probe for weaknesses in the rest of your phone. And this way, attackers were able to benefit from security bugs in the phone's millions lines of code. You don't need a high bug density to find an exploitable hole in millions of lines of code. Apple could have prevented this situation by restricting previews to a far smaller range of image formats, or even a single known good image format. Apple could have saved themselves an enormous amount of pain by simply exposing fewer lines of code to their attackers. Incidentally, the EU Cyber Resilience Act explicitly tells vendors to minimize the attack surface. So, this is an example where the amount of code you create necessarily creates so many different entry points of security issues that would be impossible to detect strictly due to the sheer amount of code. Maybe not impossible, but it would be implausible, let's say that. It would take so much effort. The more code you generate, the more entry points you have. And a lot of these entry points are so minute, so specific, so edge casey that you might not even know that they exist until it's too late. Those who think the biggest problem is the quality of the code expressed in terms of the density of bugs in it are wrong. There are many interesting things happening on this front, like the use of memory-safe languages like Rust mentioned. Other languages are also upping their security game. Fuzzers, test tools that automatically modify inputs to computer programs to find weaknesses and bugs, are also getting more advanced. But many security problems are in the logic underlying the code. For example, the Barracuda email exploit originated in a third-party library, shocker, in Excel spreadsheets when they were scanned for viruses. It would execute code in Excel spreadsheets that were scanned for viruses. Wiping out all the bugs in your code won't save you from the decision to implement a feature to automatically execute code embedded in documents. Another problem is that we often don't know what code we're shipping. Software has become huge. In an article, A Plea for Lean Software, the author described the Oberon operating system, which was only 200 kilobytes, including an editor and a compiler. There are now projects that have more than 200 kilobytes for their configuration files alone. A typical app today is built on Electron.js, a framework that incorporates both Chromium and Node, which provides access to tens of thousands of software packages for JavaScript. I estimate just using Electron.js entails at least 50 million lines of code if you include dependencies, perhaps more. The app, meanwhile, likely pulls in hundreds or thousands of helper packages. Many packages used will also by default snitch on your users to advertisers and other data brokers. Dependencies pull in further dependencies, and exactly what gets included in the build can change on a daily basis, and no one really knows. We have covered this so much on these streams. How many ways to Sunday? If this app controls anything in your house, it will also connect to a software stack over at Amazon, probably also powered by Node, also pulling in many dependencies. But there's more. We used to ship software as the output of a compiler, or perhaps as a bunch of files to be interpreted. Such software then had to be installed and configured to work right. Getting your code packaged to ship like this is a lot of work, but it was good work, since it forced people to think about what was in their package. This software package would then integrate with an operating system with local services based on the configuration. Since the software ran on a different computer than the one it was developed on, people had to know what they were doing. Sometimes it didn't work, which the joke is, well, it works on my system. That's where developers got it from. And then the retort, then back up your email, we're taking your laptop into production. This used to be a joke, but these days, we often ship software as containers, shipping not only the software itself, but also including operating system files to make sure the software runs in a well-known environment. This frequently entails effectively shipping a computer-computer disk image. This vastly expands the amount of code being deployed once again. Note that you can do good things with containers like Docker, but there are a lot of images over 350 megs on the Docker hub. Add it all up, and we're likely looking at over 50 million active lines of code to open a garage door running several operating system images on multiple servers. Now, even if all the included dependencies are golden, are we sure that their security updates are making it to your garage door opener app? No, we've covered this before. We've covered security issues that have been out in the wild, either known or unknown, and unpatched, sometimes for over 10 years. So even if you have a third-party library that does keep their security up to date, knowing that it is up to date or trusting that it can be is extremely low. You actually can't trust it. I've gone over the stats on this. Sure, I'll drop in. I just caught Lightspeed here. I'm trying to keep an eye on chat, but it's difficult. Here, there you go. But even worse is the fact that all these dependencies are not golden. The Node.js ecosystem has a comical history of package repositories being taken over, typo squatted, slop squatted now with AI, or resurrected under the same name by someone else. With nefarious plans, PyPy has suffered from similar, or PP as I like to call it. Dependencies always need extra scrutiny, but no one can reasonably be expected to check thousands of them. But we prefer not to think about them because it's the cult, easy door mentality that your favorite influencer, that your favorite person on X or social media or whatever, that your colleague, that your manager stresses you to do, or that the executive stresses you to do. No. Take the easy road out because it's more financially reasonable. It's easier on your brain. You're gonna be able to do more stuff with less, yada, yada, yada. All the stupid crap that has been a cancer to the tech industry for the past 10 years. The world is shipping far too much code where we don't even know what we ship, and we aren't looking hard enough at what we do know we ship. Yeah, Elko. SQL injection has been a known vulnerability for decades, and it's still one of the most widespread security issues. Yes, there was, I was just doing a short on a daily tech news stream the other day I don't know, episode 13 or something, and it was going over what is the oh yes, I remember. Yes, healthcare. Too bad Ross isn't around. What is the highest security entry point vulnerability of most healthcare hacks in the US? SQL injection. By far. Yeah. And how many times, almost on a daily basis, we go over misconfigured S3 buckets all the time, or Google Cloud Services buckets all the time. This is basic stuff. Security on that is basic. There's even like little buttons you can push to automate that away, and people aren't even doing that. So then the author talks about what they did, and they wrote this thing called Trifecta, and they have 1,600 lines of code, which is about 3 megabytes of code, and they essentially are doing, I believe, an image sharing. It's like IMG-UR replacement. So if you're interested in looking at that, definitely go have a look. It seemed interesting to me, and it gave me a thought. I am increasingly beginning to believe that there is a whole bunch of money to be made by having programmers who take no investment money, they have no executives, they have no managers, and they don't listen to the stupid bullshit that idiotic tech influencers promote, or package managers, the principles that package managers promote, or the cult, like they reject the cult like mentality of all of these things, and they actually care about what they're doing. You can disrupt even currently existing massive websites. And you can do it by writing less code, making it far more performant and far more secure. The issue then comes down to marketing, because a lot of programmers don't know marketing, myself included. And that's where you typically have executives with funding. A lot of funding goes into marketing and ads and all of that. However, marketing is a generally solved problem. And the way to set yourself apart against big competitors who have marketing spend is to provide a free tier, a trial, and just get out there and drop links pretty much everywhere you can. So if you are willing to put in the time and effort, and maybe if you can find a group of other programmers who are willing to work with you on a singular goal to get something done as a replacement for something that exists today that sucks, you can absolutely outdo the big guys, regardless of how much VC funding they have. And really the key thing is sell your strengths. So if you do have a reduced line of code, so for example, let's say that you do what this guy did with Trifecta, or Delaney is on here chatting. I can't read it all right now. It's kind of off thing here. But for example, what Datastar is doing, there are a few other examples. Rad Debugger did it. There's one called File Pilot that did it as a replacement for Windows Explorer. The creator of that did it. You cater to your strengths and you market those. So you can say, our system is better than X, Y, or Z because we have less lines of code. We have way fewer bugs. We are far more performant, and we are far more secure. And then you can add in things like, we'll never sell your data. Maybe we don't even need your data. So we actually don't store any of your data, et cetera, right? And you do that, and then you just go out and just keep saying that over and over again. That's ultimately what marketing is. The only difference is that a VC-funded company that's big and slow and has done everything the stupid way that you as a programmer knows shouldn't be done that way. The only difference is that they can just spread that idiotic message to more people faster because they have the money to do it. But you can do it too. It's just more of an uphill battle. But if you can do that and you offer a free tier and you get people trying your thing and it actually works better and it actually works faster and all of that, you're going to have success, and you're going to need none of the idiotic overhead that we unfortunately seem to be dependent on right now. And if more programmers were able to do that, and I'm trying to do this myself as well, I know others are as well, like a Data Star, for example, Delaney. I hope to help out Data Star more. I'm Delaney, I know I have stuff I got to do, so we can team up on a few things. I'm working on it. Like there's a bunch of stuff going on. If you can do that and you can find like-minded people to help you do that, I think there's a huge market for disruption here to change the tech industry. And all it would take is a few more people like that. There's already some people doing it. We need more. And you can outdo all the stupid AI crap and all of this stuff. I think we can happen. I think we can do this. I mean, you can't heal stupid. That's true. You can't. Yes, you can't fix SQL injection because it's a programmer learning issue. You can fix programmers learning that. You can. It's an educational problem, which is solvable. It's just not easy. Okay, so there you go. There you go. That was, if you can call that a rant, that's kind of a rant, with 2 articles that I thought were really good and wanted to go over them. So let me make sure I don't have any other articles I wanted to go over. No, I covered everything I wanted to for today. Okay, so again, let me go circle back now. I really appreciate all the support. Elko, Johnny, Lawler, who I think has gone to bed. I think I saw. Yeah, he went to bed. I appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Everybody on X and YouTube and Rumble and all that. Thanks for chatting and viewing. And I think there was somebody on YouTube who was chatting and I missed it. I get super focused, so I miss out on a lot of chats here. Like I said, it's crazy how much news is out there. I'm woefully behind. I have a massive backlog of stuff that I need to go over with you guys. I then have a second massive backlog of stuff that I haven't even read. So I don't even know where it fits into the news cycle. And it's becoming a full-time job. I don't want to say it is yet because I haven't done the numbers, but I spend a considerable portion every day of my time, several hours a day, going over this and structuring each stream so that there's a bit of a thematic aspect to it. I come up with jokes, etc., so I can make it a little bit entertaining. But ultimately, these are serious topics that I care about, and it seems like you guys care about it too. So all the support is appreciated, because without your support, it would mean that why would I do this, right? And it's tough because I'm also like, I need work. So I'm also spending time looking for work. I have a little bit of work that's helping pay the bills. I got to keep up with that every day. I have family stuff I got to do every day. It's tough to juggle all this. So your support goes a long way. And it means a lot. So whether it's financial or not, ultimately it doesn't matter. Just the fact that you're like watching and chatting and whatnot is extremely important to me. For as long as you guys keep supporting me, I will keep doing this. I will keep going over these articles, these studies. I will keep trying to think about logical arguments to make. I am doing a little bit of a dive into Rust right now. I've gone into a Rust rabbit hole because I think Rust is a cancer to the tech industry. Okay, I said I think. There's a qualifier. Okay, I could be wrong, but I'm digging into it and I'm trying to come up with the arguments for it. But it's really difficult because it has to go beyond the scope of community, and that's a difficult one. Sergeant, I knew Sergeant was going to retort, "Your face is a cancer to my laptop screen." Yeah. Anyways, I could be wrong, okay? That's why I have the qualifier, I think. But I put a lot of time into thinking about these things, mostly because I want all of you to know out there. Bah, I said that really poorly. I want all of you out there to know that if Mr. High School ex-homeless dropout here can do what I do, can build some of the stuff that I've built on stream with the help of chat, admittedly, but still can learn the stuff that I've learned on my own, then you can do that and more. Hopefully these streams give you the information you need to go out and do the things that need to be done, to go out and argue the things that need to be argued in your little pocket of the world. That's what I hope you're all taking away from this. So if you appreciate that message and you want me to do that more, you want me to talk to more people, try to reach out to more people, continue doing the likes and the subscribes and the reposts and shares. All of that stuff helps tremendously with the algorithms, which I hate, but I have to play in order to get reach. And I am almost at 33,000 subscribers on YouTube. YouTube, for some reason, took off way more than anything else. On X, I'm like, I don't know, like 1,600 followers or something. YouTube is by far a huge portion of most people who catch on to what I'm doing. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've had several people, probably 2 or 3, who have privately reached out to me and have told me that they agree and appreciate what I'm doing here. And that's good. It's not because of me. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. It gives me hope because there's more people like all of us right now who are watching. And that's good. We need more people to step up. We need more people to go back to fundamentals. We need more people to make logical arguments about why they're doing anything that they're doing in the tech industry. We need to fight back against the idiocy that seems to be prevalent in the entire industry. And I think it's not too late to turn this ship around. I still think we have some time. And if more people do it, it would be unrecognizable. This industry would be unrecognizable. I think there's a way out here. So hopefully this continues to help everybody out there. You guys are arguing about Rust. You can continue to argue about Rust. I don't care. How do you feel that someone that is for Rust is here? Mad about them apples. It's totally cool, Sergeant. It's totally cool. At least for me. I don't mind if you like Rust. It's fine. If I actually have good arguments against Rust, then they will be persuasive enough and you'll agree with them, Sergeant. That's my perspective on it, right? Otherwise, it's either going to be or it's not. That's all. Okay. So that's it. Thank you for the support and for all the people who dropped subs. I know it's money. I don't ask for money. I don't do this because I want your money, because I know a lot of you don't really have anything to spare. So don't send money my way, unless you actually do want to support it. On the beginning of the stream and the end of the stream, which I'm about to end, there is a link for tips if you do want to tip me for my work. I do appreciate it. It helps make my life easier, so I have to worry less about spending a whole bunch of time with work stuff. So it's not like I don't appreciate it. I fully understand. Listen, I came up poor and homeless and broke. I wish somebody was there doing what I'm doing right now. Sell you a tinfoil hat? I'll get right on that. So in a way, I'm kind of doing this for the future myself. For somebody out there who doesn't have the means to do what I did and wishes that they had the information that I'm now sharing for free because they couldn't even afford, to pay basic things. So that's really why I do this, because it's kind of like the gift that I send myself to my previous self, to my historic self. I don't know, something like that, right? It's just something I wish I had access to, information I wish I had access to. So, but either way, thank you everyone for your support. I mean that. I can't say that enough. Let's get the tinfoil hat shipped internationally. So I think for the next stream, when I do a conspiracy portion, I will actually have a tinfoil hat, and I'm going to look at Streamlabs and see if they can actually put a tinfoil hat. You can sell shirts and stuff and mugs and stuff on Streamlabs. You can do that really easy. I'm going to look, okay? Because it's like super easy. It's like a super easy thing. You just click and it makes it. I'll see. So that's it, folks. That's it. I'm going to end the stream here. No lie, you would buy them? Okay, I'll look into it. I'm going to end the stream here. Once again, I can't I can't say it enough. Thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it. Keep supporting me. It lets me know that you want me to keep going. It's been a 2-hour stream. That's crazy, but it's been awesome. I will be back again tomorrow for another daily tech news stream. I want to get in more video game time because I'm behind on that. And I have some plans for that. So I want to get to it. And I don't know when that's going to happen, though. I'll do my best. But yeah, stay safe out there, everyone. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I appreciate your support. And I will catch you tomorrow. Have a good night. Have a good day. Peace out. You all suck. All of you suck. Every single one of you sucks. You all suck. Your parents are ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of you. Your friends are ashamed of you. Everything you do sucks. Okay? You all